I'm Heidi from Garden Crossings, and today we are going to be taking a look at fabulous late summer blooming perennials. But before we do so, we have some guests that we may have to clear out of the garden. The first perennial we're going to talk about is the dinner plate size blooms of the hibiscus or rose mallow. So this one here is called Angel Eyes, and it's got beautiful white blooms on them, and they are just huge flowers. Crisp, clean white flowers, beautiful magenta eye, and nicely overlapped petals. And by having those overlapped petals, that just makes the bloom seem even fuller because they stay nice and firm opposed to flapping in the breeze. The nice thing with the newer varieties of the hardy hibiscus is they bloom from what I like to call tip to toe, meaning up and down the stems we're getting blossoms. So it just continues to bloom for a long time during the end of the summer. Older varieties of hibiscus, all their flowers were right on the top, and once these flowers were done blooming, the plant was finished. But these newer varieties, the flowers continue down for a longer bloom time. So if you're looking for huge flowers that really create an impact, the hardy hibiscus or rose mallow, and this particular one, like I said, it's called Angel Eyes. The next perennial on the list is the Heliopsis Bit of Honey, and this is a new perennial for 2023. It features variegated foliage and beautiful golden yellow flowers. These flowers are kind of semi-double, so lots of rows of petals around them. And the nice thing with Heliopsis is they bloom for a long time in the summer. One of the longest blooming perennials, where most perennials kind of cycle through, have their month or so of time to shine. The Heliopsis has been blooming now for probably about 6 weeks, and there's plenty more weeks of blooms left in this plant. This has been in the garden for one season now, and they're about 18 inches tall. This is kind of a mass planting of about 5 or so plants, and I think they'll get about 18 to 24 as their mature height. But yeah, just a massive color. Even before they're blooming, the foliage is super stunning. We'll go in and take a closer look to show you the variegation and just how big and full the flowers are. Plant for kind of mid to late summer color, we're going to do it as a family, and that is the coneflower or echinacea family. So this grouping here, we did a huge just sweep of all of the different kind of coneflowers that we carry. We've got the Price is White, we have One in a Melon, the Fuchsia is Bright, the beautiful pink blooms. We have Raspberry Beret, the beautiful double blooms, along with the Sombrero Salsa Red, Orange You Awesome, Sombrero Adobe Orange, the color-coded part of the Proven Winner series, the Scarlet, more One in a Melon, the Fuchsia is Bright, beautiful echinacea Sombrero Yellow, Lemon Yellow, and then more of the Fuchsia is Bright. Coneflowers are such a nice plant because the birds, they enjoy the seeds, the butterflies enjoy the pollen. They're a great plant to add so many ranges of colors into the garden, and the pollinators just love them. Once these flowers are done blooming, we'll go ahead and leave those seed pods on, the dried seed pods on, because that's when we're going to start seeing the birds coming into the garden. So a beautiful array of color, various sizes. Most of them that we have here are anywhere from about 18 to maybe 24 inches tall. So the coneflowers we're growing are more on the shorter side, but just like I said, a beautiful mass of color here later on in the summer. One not to be left out our midst is the Allium Serendipity. This here is a mass planting, and I just love the whimsy look of the Allium Serendipity. Beautiful foliage before the blooms emerge, but man, once those blooms emerge, I love the whimsy globe-shaped flowers. This is a plant that the pollinators just love. You can see all the bumblebees just working those flowers like it's their job. And Allium, just, you can't go wrong. I mean, they're just such a fun whimsy, and the color is perfect with any color in the garden. They bloom usually about 4 or so weeks, so giving a lot of color to that mid to late summer garden. Agastache, meant to be Queen Nectarine, has not stopped blooming all summer long. This is a hyssop, and it is fragrant. It's beautiful. It's a native perennial. It's hardy in zones 5 to 9, and it gets about 3 foot tall or so. So in this garden, it's a little bit up on a slope, so I think the height feels a little bit skewed to what we're seeing here. But these beautiful kind of orangey nectarine flowers have been going, like I said, all summer long. It's another favorite of the pollinators and the hummingbirds with the beautiful tubular shaped flowers. This is a deer resistant plant, so if you're looking for something deer resistant, this definitely does check off that box. It likes to be grown in a full sun area, and it's fabulous. Even when the flower petals fall off, these calyxes are really beautiful with just kind of that little hue of rosiness to them. A gorgeous, gorgeous plant. And again, there's not many perennials that bloom all summer long, but the Augustaceae certainly is one that would check that box. Old time favorite is the Rudbeckia. This is the little gold star. Rudbeckia like to be planted in full sun gardens, although I have some in my part shade area under my deck, and they're doing fabulous. But I think they're a very iconic looking flower with a beautiful golden petals, the nice deep brown or black eyes on them. And they're just a fabulous splash of color out in the garden. Personally, I do love to add yellows into the garden because I think, number one, yellow matches with any flower color. I haven't really found anything that doesn't look good with yellow. And the nice thing too with these little gold stars is they're very clean. So some of the older varieties of Rudbeckia, they get the black spot all over them. And we're not noticing any of that on these plants. Super clean foliage, beautiful flowers. And again, this one's been blooming for a few weeks now, and I'd say we probably got a couple weeks more going for flower color. So probably about maybe 4 to 6 weeks of color in the garden. So I don't want to call it a long blooming perennial, but definitely something that's going to give you color midsummer towards the end of summer in your garden. The last perennial in today's collection is the Stokesia, or Stokes aster. This particular one started blooming the end of July, and this color is going to take us well through the end of August. Beautiful purple blooms. I'm going to call them daisy looking, although they're really not at all daisy looking. But I love the vibrant purple. I love how this plant is just a mass of color, fully covered in bloom. And you can see on here, you know, on some of these plants, like the one we're looking at now, half the flowers are blooming, but look at all the buds still remaining. So that plant is really going to put on a long mid to late summer color in the garden. They like to be grown in full sun locations. The pollinators are also enjoying this plant, and I think that Stokesia is maybe a plant maybe some of you haven't heard before. Thanks for watching. If you have any questions or comments on any of today's perennials that we went through, please feel free to leave any questions in the comments below. As I mentioned, we are a mail order company, so anything that you saw in today's video that you like, we can ship it directly to your door. Thanks for watching. I'm Heidi from Garden Crossings.